Hello everybody, this is Danny from Deep South Homestead. We went to build a fire in our wood heater this morning. When I opened the door, the gasket fell out of the door. So we were going to town anyway, so we decided to wait on building a fire till we got a gasket, and we went to town and we bought they sell a kit. It's got the cement and a rope in it to replace in these doors with. So we went ahead and got the kit and come back home, and we took the door off. I took the screwdriver here and I've been kind of scraping some of this old built-up stud out of here, and I've got a lot of the heavy stuff kind of off of it. But now that I've got that, I kind of want to clean this up pretty good before I put it back in there. So I'm going to take a wire brush and I'm going to run over it. Now this is a nasty job, I'm going to tell you. There's a lot of stuff here. We just want to make sure this thing's in good, clean condition, especially where the gasket goes. We want to make sure we get all that old cement out of there, and you know, we're just going to kind of clean this thing up, because the only thing I hate is working with something that's not clean. I'm kind of a fanatic about that. Okay, we found some of the problem here. Because this heater sets up all summer, the humidity down here is so high, you can see that rust is formed right around where the gasket goes there in this door. And that rust formed, it caused the gasket to turn loose. So what we're going to have to do is clean all that up. I got some old sandpaper here from the shop. And what we're going to do is try to sit here and sand all that out of there and get it back down to a good clean surface. That's one of the things we done learning about being down south here, is the humidity. Even though this heater was closed up in the house, it still comes down the pipe, and it's caused condensation in this thing. So this is something we've learned that might be an ongoing problem here. So we may have to kind of keep some cement and gaskets on hand in case some kind of life-changing event comes along. We'll be able to still fix our wood heater there. You can see I kind of got it shiny a little bit. We're going to work on it a little bit more. When we get it all cleaned up, we'll show you what it looks like. Y'all can see how shiny we've got this thing cleaned up right here now. I've sanded it and got all the soot and just barnacle problems, whatever you want to call it, out of there. Now I'm going to take a rag to make sure we get a good clean surface. You know, because you see, no matter how much you sand it, there's still going to be soot in there. I like a good clean surface, so we're going to go along here. Make sure it's good and clean, because you want to make sure you got good contact with that cement. The rag keeps getting dirty, that means there's still stuff in there. This is one of them things you don't want to skimp on and try to hurry with. You want to make sure you get it done right. Okay, we're about there. The rag's not getting dirty now. Okay, we're about very little left on the rag. So now what you want to do is, this is the rope that came with the kit. And we'll take the rope. Now this rope will stretch, but now you don't want to stretch it. You want to just lay it down inside the channel that come on the door. Kind of get it laid around, and because what will happen is, if you stretch it and then you try to put it in, it's going to shrink up when it gets hot. I go back and I double check, because I want to make sure I've got enough gasket material to hang down below the door just a little bit. Alright, now that we've got that, I usually will take a black magic marker and I'm going to mark it right over here where it needs to be cut at. Now, I cut it just a touch long, maybe 1/4 of an inch long. Now, this is some tough stuff, so I don't know if the pocket knife's going to cut it or what I'm going to actually have to get to cut this, but we're going to give it a test here and see. Wow, pocket knife went right through it. That's just a sharp knife. Okay, we've got the gasket cut now. You see, even though I cut it a little long, it's just, so always cut it about a 1/2 inch long. I know I said 1/4 of an inch, but you know, after looking at this, I think a 1/2 inch would be better. Because it did shrink up after I cut it, so. But we also have enough left over. If we want to do another one, actually I have enough left to do another door. Okay, we're gonna move this out of the way. Some of our stuff out of the way here. All right, we're gonna start putting us a good thin coat of that down through here. I like to have enough to make sure that joker, when I mash that gasket in it, it gets set good. Just a good even coat. And I know you probably can't see it on the camera, but it's coming out. Truth of the matter is, they just about give you just enough in this bottle to do one gasket. Okay, now what you have to do next, you got to let this set about 10 minutes until it gets good and tacky. All right, our 10 minutes is up, and y'all notice I've got gloves on now because I'm fooling with a contact cement. I don't want it on my skin, so that's why I have the gloves on. In 10 minutes, you're supposed to wait till this stuff gets tacky, and it has become tacky now. So we're going to push this rope down in here, down in the groove, making sure that we get good contact. And I know we are, because I see it kind of mashing out around the edges. Once again, you don't want to stretch it. I've got a good bunch of it right there. Maybe got a little too much down there where it's it's settled in. Kind of take our time. Probably gonna run out the end down here, but that's okay. And go back. I like to go backwards once I went forward. I like to go backwards. Just kind of work it down in the. Some starts running over. That's why I got gloves on, so I can wipe that out of there. Alright, remember we was a little long on the ends, and that's okay. Just trying to make sure I get a good. Now you don't want that contact cement on this side of it, so I'm trying to make sure I don't get any contact cement on this side. Alright, we're going to let this set now and dry, and then we're going to put it on a wood heater and compress it. Alright y'all, the next thing I want to do on my wood heater here is I'm going to take a little piece of sandpaper, and I'm going to kind of go around here where the door gasket closes at, and I just want to make sure that there's no buildup or anything around that. I want to make sure we get a good seal. Kind of lightly sand it, get rid of some of if there's any kind of a buildup on it. You don't have to sand it down till it's shiny or anything like that. I'm just trying to make sure I got a smooth surface for that gasket to seal on. Okay, we've kind of got that. Next, I've got the door here, And one of the things you might want to pay attention to is when you move that door, these two pins, sometimes an older door like this one, the pins will get loose in it. If you go toting the door off outside and you drop the pin somewhere, like, then you're kind of screwed. You don't have any pins to put the door back on with. So I'm going to go ahead now that I've got it in the house here and stick these pins. Stick the pins back in the door now that the glue has dried, and it's been about an hour. So we're going to try to get this over here. This can be the tricky part sometimes, getting both of them lined up at the same time. And when you do, just push them down in there. You want to test it to make sure that, okay, it's closing good. Now, one thing I might want to bring out is a lot of times when you put this back in here, you may have to readjust this. That's why I brought these wrenches in here. I want to check and see. It looks like it's going to work all right. I brought the wrenches though just to be safe, which, because it is a little bit, no, it's going to be all right. Okay, it's going to be all right. Now, one of the things I want to mention here about this, I didn't bring it out a while ago, but I want to bring it out now, is the fact that in the event of a life-changing event takes place and you cannot get back to a store or anywhere like that, if that rope happens to fall out and you have no way of putting it back, or your rope burns out on a wood heater, you're basically screwed with your wood heater. So one of the things you might want to stock up on, as you're a homesteader, you might want to stock up on some extra rope and some extra tubes of glue to put this back in there with, because that way it kind of ensures that your wood stove is going to last you for quite some time. Now, there may be some alternatives that I don't know about, but that's just something I wanted to bring to your attention as a simple fact. Stock up on some rope and some glue and keep it just in case something like this happens and you cannot get back to a store to get anything. So we're going to let this stay setting now. I'm going to close it. We're going to let it just sit there and kind of acclimate, let the gasket kind of get formed to where it fits the wood stove, and we'll build a fire in a little later to make sure that everything is okay. So we thought we'd take you on this little bit of a journey, changing the gasket in the door of a wood stove. Thank you from Deep South Homestead.